Altersphere mini expansion cards revealed. New story mode chapters coming soon, and no changes in the February 18th update. Wah wah. We'll talk about these in due time, but first I want to talk about the mini expansion reveals because it is exciting. Mini expansion is going to come out on the 18th alongside the major update, so let's have a look at the cards that are revealed so far and see what our thoughts are on them. First up, we have Maisha, Hero of Purgation, Portalcraft Gold, 3 playpoint 2/3. Fanfare, draw a card, can't attack the enemy leader, evolve, put a Purgation's Blade into your hand, and can attack the enemy leader with full evolve stats. Purgation's Blade, 7 playpoint spell, give +4 attack and storm to an allied Portalcraft follower. If that follower is a Maisha, Hero of Purgation, give +X+O instead. X equals the number of allied followers destroyed during this match. It's a pretty interesting card. It's kind of a spoiler for the story mode, which I haven't played yet. It's just, it's my fault for not having played the story mode yet. Hopefully I'll be able to get an opportunity to do it soon, because the new chapters are coming out after all, and I'm pretty far behind at this point. But the card itself, Fanfare, draw a card on a pretty okay body. The thing is that Portalcraft already has a lot of things to spend its evolves on, but there's a lot of controlling tools in Portalcraft that this could end up being a pretty cool win condition. You just play it on 10 and play it and evolve it with the Purgation's Blade. I mean, some Portalcraft lists kind of afford running like Sylvia with that evolve effect on that Sylvia spell. So maybe it's not too out of this realm of possibility to be able to get to turn 10 and Maisha Purgation's Blade on 10 for like a 20 damage combo. Although that seems kind of unlikely, to be honest, compared to, the other strategies that Portalcraft has right now to do well. Although I do think the card in general is pretty okay. Like, you just play it on 3, and the draw card effect is obviously very good. But if they don't answer it, then on 4, you can evolve it and hit face. If you're more aggressive, you get this, which also, interestingly enough, works on a puppet and other cheap Portalcraft followers like that. So that's pretty neat. Of course, the big potential is with Maisha herself. I could see like you running puppet Portalcraft and just having junks and puppet rooms and just clearing everything on your own, and then come turn 10, you Maisha hit them in the face. Is that good? It seems harder to pull off than, just playing Artifact Portalcraft right now. But I think it's an interesting card with like different ways to think about it and ways that you could use it, which is why I like it. Like, I just realized that the display capture isn't like capturing the artist's name. That's not cool. There you go. That's better. Yeah, what I like about this card is that it has a lot of different applications that you can think about, and gets your brain juices flowing. I don't think it's bad either. So, I'm interested to play around with it. That's for sure. I've been playing a lot more Artifact Portalcraft lately, and I wouldn't call myself a Portalcraft expert just yet, but I feel like I'm getting incrementally better at the class as we go by, because I was nowhere near a Portal main before. But while I don't think this is like super strong or anything, I do think that it has its applications and that it could be interesting in the future. Moving on, this one has some flavor text here. It dwells upon the land. It has fangs like a tiger's, a forked tongue. It brings the rains and the drought, the heavens' mercy and their wrath. Bow your heads in respect before the oldest of the gods. Chapter 2, Prosperity of the Water God. Every single card in Shadowverse is a deity of some kind, or some apocalyptic calamity, even if it's just this tiny boy around a water urn. I don't know how this is some oldest of the gods. It's the size of a jug. Tlaloc, Dragoncraft Legendary, 4.53. Fluoro stats. Evolve, deal 1 damage to all enemies, give your leader the following effect. Whenever an allied follower attacks, you have at least 3 play points. Use 3 play points and deal 1 damage to all enemies. This effect is not stackable and lasts for the rest of the match. Pretty sick effect. I like this card because it doesn't like slot in to ramp exactly. It's more of an aggressive card, isn't it? It's aggressively statted for a 4 play point body. This evolve effect, full evolve stats too, really good. This evolve effect is really good against, say, Forestcraft or Swordcraft. And then this effect here where you can spend unused play points is actually pretty neat. I like that a lot, actually. I think that's really cool. And you just get like infinite angelic barrages from that if you do make use of that leader effect. So if you're up against forest, I guess you always just can evolve a body and deal with that board. If they didn't, buff it with Lila or something. But against all the Oathless Knights that Sword has right now, this is also a pretty good answer. I like this. This is a good answer to the huge board flood decks that are relatively effective right now. Good against analyzing artifacts as well. Well, kinda, unless they play DEM, of course, but you know what I'm talking about. Not a bad card. And again, the reason I like it a lot is because it doesn't just slot into ramp again, right? Maybe it's a consideration for Miarabane as well. It's an okay body, which gets better with Miarabane, and the effect is also pretty value in a Highlander, so that's also a consideration. I dig it. Moving on, we have Lovely Heart Monica. Runecraft Gold card, 4.33 fanfare summon a Mora, Monica's Familiar. Evolve, deal X damage to an enemy follower, and X equals the number of allied followers in play. So it's a Monica, like in Swordcraft, except she also became a magical girl. She caught the, whatever disease that Medusa caught. She got it as well. She even has the freaking magical girl familiar. That's pretty funny. Mora, Monica's Familia. Hey, Familia. That was bad. I regret it. I regret it immediately. 7.11, accelerate 3, recover 1 evolution point. Fanfare, summon a Lovely Heart Monica, recover 1 evolution point. At last words at the end of at the start of your turn, put Mora, Monica's Familiar, into your hand. That's pretty neat, right? So you play... This is actually good stats for 4 as well. It's a 4/4 across 2 bodies, with full evolve stats and a tempo swing effect. That's pretty neat. This accelerate, I'm not sure if it's worth the cost. Could be in a pinch. The 7 point version of this, it's like you're like paying 7 essentially just to have this again, but it's potentially infinite value, which is pretty sick. Really solid card. Doesn't fit into Spell Boost or Mysteria or anything. It's just a good card for Runecraft. Runecraft is very synergy heavy, though, so that's a consideration. Like, do you want to slot this in over something else? But I do think it's just a pretty okay card. See, with Runecraft here, this effect, you don't usually have, until your huge swing turn where all your stuff is spell boosted or Mysteria boosted down, you don't usually have a bunch of followers in play. So I'm not sure if this fits into, like I said, the existing archetypes, but it's a solid card that does more than what it costs, I think, so wouldn't be surprised if it sees play. Moving along, the Hornet Queen lounges on her throne, the power of 10,000 drones loosely grasped in her idle hands. I'm so bored. Can't I just dissolve it all? With but a twitch of those sticky fingers, she could end the world by sundown. Sticky fingers, excuse me? Babs? Hornet Queen. Fanfare, summon 2 Hornet Warriors. Whenever an allied Hornet Warrior attacks the enemy leader, put a Hornet Sting into your hand. So the Hornet Warrior is the 1/1 with Bane and Rush that you usually get from Hornet Soldier. I do find it funny that for 8 play points, this doesn't trade evenly with Poseidon. Or it doesn't trade evenly with Evolved Poseidon anyway. It dies, and the Poseidon with 9 defense lives. That's pretty funny. But that's neither here nor there. We all know how BS Poseidon is. I'm not gonna beat a dead horse or anything. I don't think this card is very good. I think it's really, really, really slow. And letting a Hornet Warrior, getting a Hornet Warrior to live, seems unlikely. To get that Hornet Sting value, I mean, it can help in you're trying to build a controlling Forestcraft deck, and you want Ward of Unkilling to stop Mysteria from busting you up. But I don't know, man. I'm unconvinced. This seems too slow. for this stage in the game. Like, it's not bad. Is it not? Is it bad? Is it bad though? You do get basically 2 removal spells and a 6/5 body for 8. Like that's okay. I don't know if I'd run more than 1 max though. Probably wouldn't run more than 1 max, and only in a specific deck. Maybe 1 or 2 max. Leaning towards 1 in a very specific controlling deck. I just don't think it's that great. Moving along. Lina and Lena, twin souls. This is the 3rd twin that Forestcraft has. They have that 2-drop bronze twin, and they have Shamu and Shama, and now they have Lina and Lena. This is getting kind of ridiculous. 4.24 Storm, fanfare of at least 2 other cards play this turn. Evolve this follower. Storm can attack 2 times per turn. Wow. Pretty solid stat line. The fact that it doesn't gain any stats on Evolve does kind of hurt on the Evolve turn, which is where this is, priced at. But, you're using this to go face. So, does it really hurt that much? You're doing 4 damage anyway. So that's fine. It's just less defense points, unfortunately. What's really good about this is that it's really good with buffers, right? So if you're able to play fills on it, helps with the at least 2 other cards condition as well. And the fact that this can evolve for free is huge, like huge. I'm trying to find negatives with this card. It's a good storm card that can attack twice and evolve for free. So, I don't know, man. It just seems pretty good. Fills, like I said, buffing up the defense points makes it a good trader if you really wanna. You can buff it up with Lilas or Lilies. Probably Lilies. That's really good. Not Lilies. What's her name? Yeah, Lily. Crystallian Conductor Lily. That's right. I'm tired. It's only 9:30 p.m., but I had a really long day and only got like 4 hours of sleep last night, so please forgive me. Like, if you play, Fairy, or just Fairy, Lina. No, Fairy, Lina, Lily. Then you evolve the Lily. And then you buff the Lina and Lena. Isn't that like an Albert on 8? That's pretty nuts. That's pretty nuts. It does require you to have those cards, obviously, but that's not that hard for Forest. 2 fairies and a Lily. This card just seems good, man. Just seems really good. Well, there you have it. Those are the cards revealed on the Twitter thus far. Kind of like my off-the-cuff thoughts about it. Kind of just shooting the breeze here. But there's also more announcements. Sorry, it took me a second for my brain to catch up with what I was going for. Story mode also coming out soon. Have a look, see. Again, like I said, I do want to play the story mode again pretty soon. It's been a while. Been really busy IRL, as you can tell by my absolutely frazzled state at the moment. My thoughts can't even form properly right now. But I'm actually excited to get into the story mode again, because I actually am invested in the story. So, looking forward to that. So, look forward to those videos as well, coming up. And let's talk about the next big topic here. No changes to cards in the February 18 release. I do kind of want to rant about this a little bit. So, we've gone over the high-ranking match data for early February in the rotation and unlimited formats and found the game environment to be diverse, with no deck archetype in particular holding an overwhelming win or usage rate. As such, we won't be making any balance changes to cards in the upcoming update. According to our data, we found that in rotation, players going first had win rates of 51.9%, a little higher than in January, and unlimited players had a bit higher than in January as well. Blah, blah, blah. Next one's in March. Okay. So, I think part of why there's no changes is also because the mini expansion is coming up soon. And I've defended this decision in the past, saying that, oh yeah, the mini expansion is going to shake things up anyway, so there's no need to nerf stuff, yada, yada, yada. And in a way, no, I do still believe that that's true, yes. But also, I don't know if that's a good enough justification for not doing balance updates, and if it is, then there's something wrong with the scheduling of balance updates. So with the mini expansion explanation, it is true that yes, the meta is going to change with the new cards, and it might be true that the game environment is currently diverse, but maybe you don't balance everything just solely based on how diverse the meta is. Maybe you just do it for the health of the metagame, and what people find overblown, frustrating, etc. I do think that there's something to be said for that. Not that you shouldn't disregard data and numbers, of course not. But in terms of player experience and what people perceive to be a healthy metagame or not, and the massive amounts of player feedback and complaints, and of course this can go too far in the other way where you just knee-jerk reaction balance update based on player complaints, and it ends up not being the case because a lot of the times players don't know exactly how to fix a metagame, they just play it. But even still, there's got to be a balance, I think, between the two, taking into consideration, player sentiment and, the wide-reaching sentiment of what cards are overblown. And you know what I'm talking about here. Masamune, Poseidon, and people are pretty upset with Anne as well, although Anne may or may not be the problem with that deck. Maybe these cards should get nerfed, even if it's, a diverse game environment, quote-unquote. Also, the mini expansion explanation, yes, it does change the metagame, but maybe that's a reason to move the dates of balance updates. Instead of releasing them with major releases, you should release them in between. And there's a couple reasons that I think this. One, you get to do a balance update when it's sort of like in the middle between big releases, meaning that it's sort of when players are kind of getting used to the meta and maybe getting bored, may or may not, and also basically at the peak of complaints, right, with whatever is perceived to be massive imbalance. So that's a good thing. Second, also not releasing it alongside a major release like an expansion or a mini expansion means that there's not this specter of the upcoming content affecting the balance updates that should have been made maybe a while ago or currently. So what I mean by that is just because the mini expansion is coming out and will change the meta, and you don't change any cards because of that, people are going to be, one, kind of upset at the, perceived lack of care in terms of game balance, but also you don't know with the new release if the meta is going to be healthy going forward, or if the cards that are really overblown right now are going to keep being overblown in the next meta, and then, when are you making the next balance update with the next big release? So the problem perpetuates unless the schedule is moved. And thirdly, I think it's just nicer to create more pockets of metas that are shorter in time span. Keep the game fresh. It's not like players are losing cards when things get balanced. I mean, they may choose to nerf, or rather vile their cards if it gets nerfed, or craft if it gets buffed. But I don't think that that's a massive influence, or it shouldn't be a massive influence. And creating these pocket metas keeps the game format interesting without any real cost. Other than the cost that it takes to maintain balance of the game. But again, you can just shift the timing of balance updates and balance analysis from major release cycles to the middle between release rollouts. So shifting it into the middle will cause the meta to change when the mini is released, for example, then the meta to change when it's balanced, then the meta to change when the next expansion is released, then the meta to change when it's balanced. So you create more metas, smaller metas, and that allows more room for innovation and more room for people to get interested in the format and be like, oh, this changed, maybe I'll build a new deck now, try this out. And that creates a lot of interest for everybody. So that's why I think that they should be moving these balance updates into the middle of releases instead of alongside releases. I think it has nothing but upside. The one consideration is that, yes, it could affect the esports scene, if you do it that way. Too many meta shakeups like that. But I think for the overall health of the game, it is better this way. But that's just my 2 cents. Anyway, that's it for my thoughts on the new mini expansion cards, my thoughts on kind of story mode coming out. Keep an eye out for videos on that soonish, and my thoughts on the balance updates, the lack thereof, and the whole scheduling of it, and my philosophy on when they should be released instead. Kind of a long video, kind of went a little rambly here, but I'm glad that I got all my thoughts out. Let me know what you guys think on anything I've talked about here. The new cards, the balance update, story mode. Love to hear from you. Comments down below. Like the video if you did. And if you didn't, subscribe for more Shadowverse content in the very near future. And of course, thank you to my wonderful patrons. Patreon.com/Ignideus. If you'd like to support the channel as well, I would highly appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.